you were hearing from Lorraine in Plymouth, but she got cut off. You will remember, I'm going to bring her back in just a second. She said that 20 years ago, she had a vaginal mesh installed by the National Health Service. About 5 years ago, she started developing symptoms, and she underwent a number of procedures. It was believed she might lose her right leg and her left leg. She was in considerable pain. 5 years ago, she believed, or she was told it was probably due to the vaginal mesh and complications of that. More recently, it was confirmed 100% it was because of the insertion of the vaginal mesh. Lorraine, we lost you a moment ago, but do carry on with the story.
Can I correct you very quickly?
Please.
I wasn't going to lose my right or my left leg. I went into A&E because I'd lost the use of my right leg and half of my left leg.
Understood, thank you.
I've gone numb. And I've spent the last 5 years rehabilitating myself.
So what else do I need to know, and what do you want to know from me?
I live with chronic pain. I can't walk very far. I've still got sensory problems. I finally proved it via the scan 6 months ago. It's in at least 3 different pieces. As you said, I'm waiting to go to specialist services now. However, I've looked in the NHS mesh resolution site about compensation. And the problem I've got is the negligence happened 5 years ago in A&E when they didn't do the scan then and didn't pick up on what had happened or do any treatment whatsoever, and sent me down the neurology route.
So just pausing 1 second, when you say didn't the negligence happen 20 years ago when they installed it?
I had the mesh put in 20 years ago, but
right.
It's only 5 years ago.
5 years ago it went wrong, so it's the failure to diagnose when it went wrong.
When it went wrong, or treat me when I had serious, it spliced me.
Understood.
I still have serious nerve damage and problems now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I've done nothing. I haven't found any. I just don't know what to do because the resolution site, the questions are about 20 years ago. They're not relevant to what's happened to me now.
So the starting point is that normally you only get 3 years to claim for clinical negligence, medical negligence, which includes failure to diagnose or treat properly, from when you become aware that there's probably been some form of negligence, or when you're aware of the facts that would give rise to a negligence claim. So when did you first become aware that there might have been a problem with the mesh? That was 5 years ago, was it?
Well, no, I would say 2 years later when the numbness started. It taken me this long to rehabilitate. So once the numbness started to sort of subside in certain areas, that area all around my middle was still very, very numb. And that's when I started to think this is where the problem is.
So it could end up being crucial as to whether it's more or less than 3 years ago. Courts do, unlike most areas of law where you've got to get a claim in within a certain amount of time, courts do have a discretion to allow longer to bring claims for personal injury for this sort of thing. So the fact that you might be a little bit over the 3 years doesn't mean it's fatal. It just means it's trickier.
I only got confirmation, literally confirmation 6 months ago that I was right.
It's when you have grounds to suspect rather than when you have formal confirmation. That's when the clock starts ticking. But what I would do here, Lorraine, you obviously know about the NHS Resolution Service, and they will have their in-house solicitors examine the huge problems that have happened with vaginal meshes. You probably know they haven't been used since 2018. They stopped getting used in 2018 because of all the risks associated with them. But the resolution service is good as far as it goes, but as you're saying, I'm not sure it's suitable for this, especially because you're coming up to or just over a crucial court deadline. I would go and speak to a firm of clinical negligence solicitors as soon as possible. They'll need to get your medical notes. They'll need to get a consultant. I suppose it would be a gynecologist, possibly a urologist, possibly a neurologist. I don't know, but possibly a radiologist. But they'll make that decision. A consultant to do a report on what negligence there was at the time and what happened and what difference it made. That's the crucial thing. Because if diagnosing it earlier wouldn't actually have made a difference, you won't get any compensation. Whereas if diagnosing it earlier would have meant you wouldn't have been through all the pain, you will get compensation, and quite a lot of it. So you need to go to a firm of specialist clinical negligence solicitors. If you don't know any, I'm not going to recommend any by name, but what I will recommend is an organisation called AVMA, which stands... Have you got a pen there, Lorraine?
Yes, I have.
It's the AVMA. It stands for Accidents... What does it stand for? Association for Victims of Medical Accidents. Association for Victims of Medical Accidents. AVMA.
Thank you.
And they are really good at this sort of thing. They're lovely people, and they will be able to point you to a good firm of solicitors who can hopefully help you on a no-win, no-fee basis.